What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for December 16th, 2019. It's finally here. 3.8 has now hit Wave 1 in the PTU, so we've been playing it. I've been playing a lot on my live stream and having a good time. So, as always, as we start the video, we usually go into the patch notes, but I did an individual initial PTU patch notes video that's its own separate thing. So that'll be linked in the description, as well as it will be up in the right corner there for you as well. So we won't be discussing it much today, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. Planetary V4, mining improvements, some cool stuff. So I've been doing a lot of mining on my live stream, and if you guys don't know, I do live stream 6 days a week, every day but Friday, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You guys can come check me out there, kind of continue the conversation from these YouTube videos with me. So if you guys haven't checked out my live stream, make sure you do so. Again, that link will also be in the description. So now moving on with the video, roadmap updates. And this week, basically 3.8 hit 99% done, where everything is now in polishing except for the Argo Mole. So atmospheric tech and performance optimization are now moved over to the polishing phase, and that just leaves us with the Argo Mole, as I said, being the last piece of the puzzle here. And I want to discuss this a little bit, is the idea of the staggered development, and I think we're starting to see the improvements from that, but it's not really, the ball hasn't been like completely rolling yet, is I would imagine in the future that when we start hitting Wave 1 PTUs and maybe even Evocati, that a lot of the patch is going to be in polishing rather than still adding features to the game. And unfortunately with 3.8, it does seem like they're still adding features, and that can cause instability, server crashes, client crashes, general bugs with missions and stuff like that. So this isn't necessarily an ideal situation to be in, but my overall experiences in 3.8 have been relatively good. Quite a few 30Ks, but not as many as in previous patches. So it's definitely becoming a better experience in Star Citizen, even in the PTU. All right, so as always, we go into video updates, and we had two videos this week. We had Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live. Mainly going to focus on Inside Star Citizen this week. So that was kind of a gimme one as well. It's a post-CitizenCon Inside Star Citizen where they talked about planetary effects, and we did see some of this stuff at CitizenCon, but I think they did a good job of going into detail with it here. So in case you didn't see the CitCon panels, and or even if you did, I think they do a really good job explaining kind of the work that they did here. So starting out, they had to start somewhere to create dynamic weather effects, and wind plays a major factor in this.
The important thing to bear in mind is that a lot of people see this as weather, but whilst weather is a big part of that, the actual work that we were doing was planet effects. So one of the drivers of the effects, when we talk about rule sets, one of the main things that we did there was wind. The surface type kind of designates what is that effect going to be. So is it sand, is it snow? And then it's the wind that's actually going to push those things around. So when you've got the combination of wind and surface types together, that gives us the ground storms and the things that really kind of make it look very dynamic and spectacular.
Now, I live in Florida. I live in a climate where we have a lot of weather. We have rain, we have wind, we have heat, and not all of it has wind involved with it. But for a video game, it makes a lot of sense to start with wind, because it's the simplest thing, I feel like, to do. And if there's high winds, it creates a storm. And the team kind of goes into more of on the wind stuff here in this clip.
And the things that drive the effects are really the important part of this process, and one of those drivers will be weather. So what we've actually got in 3.8 is we have surface types and we have the wind.
So we have this global wind map. This is right now the best way for us to control where there will be wind and where there won't be wind, and to change wind dynamically. This is a texture wrapped around the planet, and it defines the wind direction and the wind speed. With this wind map, it's quite easy to change for artists to say, like, we want to have like strong winds in a certain position, but we can also rotate this wind map, and that's what we used in CitizenCon to make the storm appear. For 3.8, we will also have these rotating wind maps to create some kind of dynamic weather on most of the planets.
The idea of a global wind map is really cool. So I imagine that Reddit time-lapse videos with weather are going to be a thing, and going to be a thing very soon. I haven't seen any yet, but I do expect them to be there. And that's really weather on a macro scale, right? So it's from, a whole planetary scale on how they're building weather, but the team touches more here on like the micro scale of weather.
When you are flying through a snowstorm, you would see actual tiny molten pieces of snow on the visor, or if you are outside of your vehicle, it would be it would be canopy on a spaceship, but the visor on your helmet if you are outside. And that actually binds these two elements together, where you see all these storm effects outside, and then you actually see that affecting you as a player.
Now, if you caught CitizenCon 2019, you likely have seen this, like with the particle effects and stuff like that. But if you haven't really, this is upping immersion levels fantastically, right? Like just the snow on your visor, the snow or rain on your ship's canopy is just, it's so cool. And yeah, so the immersion is jumping higher and higher with every patch in Star Citizen, and I'm really excited for just starting to get some gameplay inside of this immersive universe, and I feel like it's going to be coming pretty soon. So moving on, not talking about gameplay, we're going to be talking about another ship sale. So we did have one this week. I did tease it last week with one of Xylo's tweets, and we have the Crusader Ares, and it's awesome.
So the Ares starfighter is another heavy fighter that fits in our universe to complement the Vanguard and the F8.
So this was going to be a relatively small craft, but with a massive punch. And that, in a nutshell, is what we were given.
The Ares, with its size 7 gun, is great for tackling large and capital ships and heavily armoured ground targets. It's the Star Citizen equivalent of the A-10 Warthog. It also has a big complement of size 3 missiles held in both external missile pods or missile racks that can be customized, and then it also has some internal bespoke racks that keep it all internally inside the body and just feeds them out in a big magazine style launcher.
Part of me is like, another fighter, and I feel that way because like a lot of the community, including myself, aren't really happy with the quality of dogfighting right now. And the more fighters they put out, the more it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this thing? I don't know what to expect yet from it, right? But the other part of me is like, oh my god, this ship is so cool, I needs it. And they came out with 2 variants, and we get some more details on those here.
So we have 2 variants for the starfighter, one more energy focused, one ballistic focused. They are full hull variants, they're not just sort of named variants. The energy one, the Ion, has an energy cannon by default, but it also has an additional power plant, shield and cooler to power that, because it is essentially a capital-sized weapon on a medium ship, so it's well outside the normal parameters for a ship. So that is quite a difference to the Inferno ballistic version, which has a ballistic repeater sort of Gatling gun on it. That doesn't need the extra power plant and cooler to function, so it trades that out for extra ammo capacity. It has much heavier armor, which the Ion doesn't have, because it needs those extra components to function, so it can't deal with the extra weight of armor on top. So you have one ship with 2 different playstyles within the single gun ship range.
Very cool stuff. The component differences make a lot of sense between the laser and the ballistic weapon. I personally love the ballistic, the Gatling gun, but again, I'm probably going to save this for an in-game purchase, but it's really hard. It's a very, very cool looking ship. Which ship do you guys like the most? Did you purchase one yourself? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to hear about it. Now, normally we would go into the actual sale details later in the video, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do it now as we're talking about the Ares. So the Ares is on sale now for $195 war bond. That means you wouldn't be using any store credit, or if you do decide to use a bit of store credit, it would be $220. And that comes with 2 skin options each in the war bond. It has the standard and an additional one for each type. And yeah, the $220 ones only, so if you use store credit, you don't get the additional skin, basically. There's also 2 packages, as well as an additional concierge package. The 2 packages are $355 each, so they are the same price, and $395 War Bond. Now, this is where things get weird. There is a Swords of Valor package, and then there's a Swords of Fortitude package. The Swords of Valor package has both ships with all the skins, so 4 skins in total, the 2 stock and the 2 specials. The Swords of Fortitude just has the 2 ships with the stock skins, but they're both the exact same price. It makes no sense. So if you are considering buying both, make sure you buy the Swords of Valor package that has all 4 skins, because then you get a little bit more value out of your dollar. The concierge package is $1,175. I'm not going to go into any details for it here, because I imagine if you're watching this video and you're a concierge and you were considering buying the ship, you would already know if you wanted the package or not. And I really don't think most people who are watching videos to try and catch up on the news of Star Citizen are really considering a package like that. So let me know if you want me to go over all packages and stuff like that in these videos in the future. I have no issue doing it. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. Now, moving on, we did have a Star Citizen Live this week, another kind of CitizenCon-like gimme where they talked about Planet Tech, and it was good. There were some bits of information there, but more on the technical side of things, so I really don't see the value in discussing it on a weekly show like this. So I will kind of be glancing or skipping over it a bit this week. Let me know if there was anything that you thought was like really, really important that I maybe missed and should have included in the video in the comments, and we can maybe have a little bit of a discussion there. Or, like I said earlier, stop by the Twitch stream and we could talk about it, right? Now, miscellaneous updates. We have a Kraken Privateer Q&A this week, and I'm going to touch on 2 things from it, and I thought that these were kind of the most important things that have to do with the Kraken. Is what are the major differences between the Privateer and the Banner Merchantman? And basically, the Privateer is its own space station, and that's why it has its advantage. But why do you need people to land to check out your shops? Why do you need landing pads? Why do you need to be standing still, basically, is what it seems like. I don't see the argument here. And before you jump in the comments, I will be addressing this in a second. The advantage of the Banu Merchantman is what I think most people feel is the disadvantage for it, and it's its size. It's that it's smaller. It may have less SCU cargo space. It may have less shops, less room in its shops, and they kind of answer those concerns with like maybe my next question is, or the next question in the Q&A, excuse me. Will the shops be visited by NPCs? And the answer is yes. So more than likely, you will have to be parked at a station or near a landing zone, and maybe with the Kraken Privateer have some kind of beacon turned on or something. I can't imagine that you can just be flying around aimlessly and NPCs coming to your ship and buying certain materials that you're selling, right? You can obviously communicate with players however you like, but NPCs are the main part of the game, and if they're not coming into your shop and buying stuff, then you're not really selling much, most likely. So the idea of the Banner Merchantman having the advantage of being able to park at most likely all landing zones is a huge advantage over the Privateer. The Privateer can hold a lot of stock, can go a lot of places, but not as many as the BMM, and I think that that's kind of what makes it really cool, and I think that's what people are upset about, and it's the opposite. I don't think you should be upset at all. I think your Banu Merchantman is going to be plenty useful, and you're going to get a lot out of it. We also had a thread about look-ahead mode, and this was in the dev tracker. I found this, and basically it's in the feedback thread for look-ahead mode, and a lot of people are having issues saying that it's basically breaking combat for them and making it really difficult. So if you are experiencing this, to turn off look-ahead mode is left-alt-R to turn it back on, left-alt-R, it's a toggle. And basically, the dev in the thread spent his entire Sunday responding to the thread feedback and gathering information for when he went into work today to start working on the issues that we had with it, and I find that really cool. Now, I mentioned my live stream earlier, and the last couple days, since 3.8 came out, we have been testing the mining heads on all sorts of planets in all sorts of different situations, and at the same time, a member who was in the chat was making a mining head spreadsheet, and it is awesome. So if you're interested in mining at all, I will have the spreadsheet linked in the description. I assume you're seeing it here on video as well, but it is super useful. So it gives you a lot of information on which mining head you may want to use, and if you're going in a group, kind of what sort of synergy you're going to try and create there. And yeah, guys, I think that'll do it for this week's video, and I really want to say thank you, as always, for all the support you guys have been giving me over the last couple weeks. We're really close to 7,000 subscribers, so if you did enjoy this video and you get some value out of it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit a like and leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think. And as I said before, make sure you guys stop by my live stream, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, and kind of continue the conversation with the video there. I am pretty open and do enjoy kind of interacting with chat. That's why I love live streaming. So, guys, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week and enjoy 3.8.